How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, February 25th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Thursday, February 24th, 2022. As we navigate through this world of sports one day at a time, taking a quick step back with the football season from 2021 being over. Here in the end of February in the 2022 calendar year, we are currently dealing with the end of the college basketball regular season, and we are also seeing the NBA get back to the regular season after All-Star Weekend. Not to mention that in soccer, we are transitioning into yet another weekend. Now that we are in the 2022 year, we are in the second half of the European soccer schedule. So with that said, starting with college basketball, starting looking at the games from yesterday, looking at the top 25 teams that played. Starting with the top team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs would face off against the unranked San Francisco Dons in San Francisco. Gonzaga beat San Francisco to stay perfect in the conference. They won 89-73. They won this matchup by 16 after outscoring San Francisco by 10 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the top-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs were led in scoring by their starting center, their freshman Chet Holmgren. He finished with 21 points, 15 rebounds, 3 steals, and 6 blocks, all in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Gonzaga starting forward Drew Timme finished with 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the top-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs are 24-2. They are now 13-0 in the West Coast Conference. They are the only team that is still undefeated so far. The second-best team in the conference, St. Mary's, has 3 losses, just to get a sense of how good Gonzaga has been playing. With this loss, the unranked San Francisco Dons are now 22-8. They are now 9-6 in the West Coast Conference. The second best team in the nation played yesterday as well. The Arizona Wildcats would face off against the unranked Utah Utes in Utah. Arizona beat Utah 97-77, winning this matchup by 20 in front of the Utah fans. Arizona outscored Utah by 20 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the second-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Azuolas Tubelis. He finished with 23 points and 5 rebounds in 27 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting guard, Kerr Kriisa, finished with 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists as he had a triple-double in 31 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 11 from the field as all of his made attempts came from 3. He was 7 for 10 from 3. With this win, the second-ranked Arizona Wildcats are 25-2. They are 15-1 in the Pac-12. That is the best record in the conference, as they have 3 less wins than the second-best team in the nation, the second-best team in the Pac-12, USC. So it looks as though they're going to be running away with this Pac-12 title. With this loss, the unranked Utah Utes are now 11-17. They are now 4-14 in the Pac-12. That is the second worst record in the Pac-12. The only team with the worst record in the conference is Oregon State. Looking at the 12th ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins would go to Oregon to face off against the unranked Oregon Ducks, staying within the Pac-12. Oregon beat UCLA, or I should rather say upset UCLA, 68-63. They won this matchup by 5 after outscoring the Bruins by 5 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 12th ranked UCLA Bruins would be led in scoring by their starting guard Tiger Campbell and their forward off the bench Cody Riley. Tiger Campbell finished with 12 points and 2 steals in 32 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Cody Riley finished with 12 points in 26 minutes. He shot 4 for 8 from the field. He made his only 3-pointer of the day. And on the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Oregon Ducks would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Davion Harmon. He finished with 17 points and 6 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 5 for 7 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Oregon Ducks are 18-10. They are now 11-6 in the Pac-12. That is the 4th best record in the conference as they sit behind Arizona, USC, and UCLA. With this loss, the 12th ranked UCLA Bruins, the highest ranked team or the lowest ranked team in the Pac-12, are now 20-6. They are now 12-5 in the Pac-12. That is the third best record in the conference, as the only teams with a better record than them are USC and Arizona from within the Pac-12. Now, looking at the 15th ranked team in the nation, the Illinois Fighting Illini hosted the 22nd ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State beat Illinois 86-83 in this ranked matchup. Ohio State won this matchup by 3 after outscoring Illinois by 4 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 15th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini were led in scoring by their starting guard, Alfonso Plummer, on the home front. He would finish with 26 points in 29 minutes as he shot 9 for 15 from the field. 8 of his 9 makes came from 3. He was 8 for 10 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 22nd ranked Ohio State Buckeyes would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Malachi Branham. He finished with 31 points and 2 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 10 for 14 from the field. He made his only three-pointer of the day, and he shot 10 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting forward, E.J. Liddell, finished with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the 22nd ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are now 18-7. They are now 11-5 in the Big Ten. That is the 4th best record in the conference, as they sit behind Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois. With this loss, the 15th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini are 19-8. They are now 12-5 in the Big Ten, as with this loss, they missed out on their chance to be tied with Purdue and Wisconsin at the top of the conference. But they only have one more loss than Purdue and Wisconsin at the moment, just to get a sense of how close the top of the Big Ten is. Taking a look now at what happened with the 16th ranked team in the nation, the USC Trojans would go all the way up to Corvallis, Oregon, to face off against the unranked Oregon State Beavers. And USC would end up beating Oregon 94-91 in double overtime. They outscored Oregon 19-16 in the overtime periods. On the winning end of this matchup, the 16th ranked USC Trojans would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Drew Peterson. He finished with 23 points and 10 rebounds alongside 6 turnovers in 44 minutes. He shot 6 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 16th ranked USC Trojans are 24-4. They are 13-4 in the Pac-12. The only team with a better record than them in the conference is Arizona, who has 3 less losses and may look like they may win the regular season title in the Pac-12. With this loss, the unranked Oregon State Beavers are now 3-23. That is, they are 1-15 in the Pac-12. That is the worst record in the conference. They are the only team that has won less than 4 games in conference play this season, as they've only won 1. Taking a look now at what happened with the 19th ranked team in the nation, the Murray State Racers hosted the unranked Belmont Bruins. Murray State beat Belmont 76-93. They won this matchup by 33 after they outscored Belmont by 18 in the first half and then by 15 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the 19th ranked Murray Racers were led in scoring by their starting forward, KJ Williams. He finished with 30 points and 5 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 12 for 19 from the field, a perfect 4 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 19th ranked Murray State Racers are 27-2. They are 17-0 in the Ohio Valley Conference. They are still undefeated and holding on to the best record. The team with the second best record is now Belmont with this loss. They are now 24-6. They are 14-3 in the Ohio Valley Conference, as they, of course, have 3 more losses than Murray State, who has none at the moment. Last but not least, looking at the lowest ranked team just looking at the lowest ranked team to play yesterday, looking at what happened in San Diego, the lowest ranked team to win yesterday was St. Mary's. St. Mary's went into San Diego and beat San Diego 60-46. They won this matchup by 14 after outscoring San Diego by 17 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 23rd ranked Gaels will be led in scoring by their starting guard, Logan Johnson. He finished with 14 points in 33 minutes as he shot 6 for 10 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, 23rd ranked St. Mary's is 23-6. They are 11-3 in the West Coast Conference. That is the second best record in the entire conference behind the top ranked team in the nation, Gonzaga. And with this loss, the unranked San Diego Toreros are 14-14. They are 7-8 in the West Coast Conference. Just to get a sense of where they are, they're holding the fourth worst record in the conference. Taking a look at what college basketball is looking like today, the only ranked team that is going to be playing will be the 25th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. They're going to go to Lincoln, Nebraska and Pinnacle Bank Arena and face off against the unranked Nebraska Cornhuskers. Iowa enters this matchup with a 9-7 record in the Big Ten, looking to finish or to come out of this game with a double-digit amount of Big Ten wins. Taking a look at what's going on at the professional level at the NBA as teams are making their playoff push. Starting off in Detroit with a team that isn't making a playoff push. The Pistons hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers, the team that hosted the NBA All-Star game this year. Detroit would end up beating Cleveland 106-103. They won this game by 3 after outscoring the Cavs by 5 in the fourth quarter to come from behind and win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their starting power forward out of Arizona, Lauri Markkanen. He finished with 22 points and 6 rebounds in 28 minutes. He will go on to shoot 6 for 16 from the field, and he would shoot 8 for 10 from the foul line. Their all-star starting center, Jared Allen, finished with 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 33 minutes. He shot 5 for 9 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench out of Kansas, Hamidou Diallo. Diallo would go on to finish with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 21 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Detroit Pistons are now 14-45. That is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference as they've won their last 2 games. They've won 2 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 14 games behind the 10 seed Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 35-24. That is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference as they've now lost their last 3 games and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit half a game behind the defending champs 4 seed Milwaukee Bucks, and they are currently sitting 3.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Chicago Bulls. Looking out to what happened in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets hosted the Boston Celtics. As the Celtics were able to continue their fortune and the Nets were able to continue their misfortune coming out of the All-Star break, the Celtics beat the Nets 129-106. The Celtics won this game by 23 after they outscored the Nets by 13 in the first quarter, not to mention 8 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Brooklyn Nets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Seth Curry out of Duke. Seth Curry would finish with 22 points and 7 rebounds in 31 minutes. He would go on to shoot 10 for 19 from the field on the day. And on the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics would be led in scoring by their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum. He finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in 35 minutes. Tatum shot 10 for 20 from the field. He would shoot 4 for 9 from 3, and he would shoot 6 for 7 from the foul line. And then their starting center, Robert Williams III, would finish with 12 points and 11 rebounds, all in 25 minutes. He shot 4 for 5 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting center, Al Horford, would go on to finish with 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 steals, as well as 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 35-26. That is the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They sit a full game behind the 5th seed Cleveland Cavaliers, and they sit 1 game ahead of the 7th seed Toronto Raptors to get a sense of where they're sitting with that 6th seed, as they currently sit 4.5 games behind the 1st seed Chicago Bulls out east. With this loss, the Brooklyn Nets are now 31-29. That is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they've now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 8 of their last 10. They sit 2.5 games behind the 7 seed Toronto Raptors from up north, and they're sitting 2 games ahead of the 9 seed Charlotte Hornets for the time being. The 8 seed Brooklyn Nets are sitting 8 games behind the 1st seed Chicago Bulls out east. Speaking of the Chicago Bulls, they hosted and were able to defeat the Atlanta Hawks within this Chicago game. They won this matchup 112-108. They won this matchup by 4 after going into the 4th quarter tied up. They were able to outscore the Hawks by 4 in that 4th quarter to come away with the win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Bogdan Bogdanovic. He finished with 27 points and 5 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 24 from the field and 5 for 12 from 3. Their starting power forward, Danilo Gallinari, finished with 26 points and 9 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 18 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. The Hawks' elite starting point guard, Trae Young, finished with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 10 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 3 for 17 from the field and 8 for 11 from the foul line. The Hawks starting center, Clint Capella, finished with 14 points, 17 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are now 39-21. That is the best record in the Eastern Conference, and that is the 4th best record in the NBA for the time being. They've won their last 6 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit half a game ahead of the 2nd place Miami Heat, as they are holding sole control of the best record out east for the time being. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are 28-31. That is the 10th best record in the East, as they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit half a game behind the 9th seed Charlotte Hornets, and they sit half a game ahead of the 11th seed Washington Wizards, who are the first team on the outside of the play-in bracket looking in. Taking a look at what's going on in Minneapolis now, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the Memphis Grizzlies. The Timberwolves beat the Grizzlies 119-114, as this was a pretty solid game in what could be a playoff matchup. The Timberwolves won this matchup by 5 after they outscored the Grizzlies by 8 in the second half, as to come back and win this game following their 3-point deficit at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., and their starting shooting guard, Zaire Williams. Jaren Jackson finished with 21 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 15 from the field and 9 for 11 from the foul line. Zaire Williams finished with 21 points in 27 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, out of Murray State, finished with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 25 from the field and 6 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Ohio State, D'Angelo Russell. He finished with 37 points, 2 rebounds, and 9 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 13 for 21 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the foul line. Their elite starting center out of Kentucky, Karl Anthony Towns, the reigning NBA's three-point contest winner, would finish with 22 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks, alongside 5 fouls in 28 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. The Timberwolves' elite starting small forward, the number 1 overall pick from the 2020 draft, Anthony Edwards, will go on to finish with 5 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 1 for 11 from the field and 3 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, however, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 32-28. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference, as they've won 7 of their last 10 games. They sit 2.5 games behind the 6 seed Denver Nuggets, as they sit 2.5 games ahead of the 8 seed LA Clippers out west. They are sitting 17 and a half games behind the Western Conference leading and the NBA leading Phoenix Suns. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 41-20. That is the third best record in the West, as they've now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 3 of their last 10. They sit 2.5 games behind the second seed Golden State Warriors. They sit 3.5 games ahead of the 4th seed Utah Jazz, and they sit 9 full games behind the 1st seed Phoenix Suns out west. Looking at what's happening in Oklahoma City, the Thunder hosted the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns were able to extend the NBA's longest active winning streak as they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 124-104. They won this game by 20 after outscoring Oklahoma City by 17 in the second half, by 17 in the first quarter as well. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Oklahoma City Thunder would be led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Kentucky, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He finished with 32 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 turnovers in 35 minutes. He shot 13 for 22 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and he would shoot 5 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard Devin Booker out of Kentucky. He finished with 25 points, 5 rebounds, 12 assists, and 6 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting small forward Cam Johnson finished with 21 points alongside 5 assists in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Mikal Bridges, would go on to finish with 21 points and 5 rebounds in 31 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are 49-10. That is the best record in the Western Conference. They have the longest active winning streak in the NBA as they've won their last 8 games. They've won 9 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit 6.5 games ahead of the second seed Golden State Warriors, the only other team in the NBA who have officially clinched a winning record this season. With this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 18-41. That is the second worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They are one of 4 teams now that can no longer have a winning record this year. At the moment, they are sitting 6.5 games behind the 10-seed Portland Trailblazers outside of the Western Conference playoff picture. Jumping out to Portland, speaking of the Trailblazers, the 10th seed Trailblazers hosted the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors would end up beating the Trailblazers 132-95. They won this matchup by 37 after they outscored the Trailblazers by 14 in the second quarter. They outscored the Trailblazers by 14 in the third quarter and by 10 in the fourth, so by 24 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Portland Trailblazers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Anthony Simons. He finished with 24 points in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he shot a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, the NBA's all-time leading scorer in three-pointers made, and the 2022 NBA All-Star Game MVP Stephen Curry. He finished with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 14 assists in 27 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Also tied with him for the team high in scoring was their elite starting shooting guard out of Washington State, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson finished with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. The Warriors starting small forward and former number 1 overall pick, Andrew Wiggins, an all-star, finished with 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals in 26 minutes. He shot 4 for 13 from the field, and he would go on to shoot 2 for 8 from 3. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are 43-17. That is the second best record in the Western Conference and the second best record in the NBA. They've won, like I said, 6 of their last 10 as they now sit 6.5 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns. The Warriors are currently sitting 2.5 games ahead of the third seed Memphis Grizzlies as well. And then with this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are 25-35. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games as they sit 3 games behind the 9 seed Los Angeles Lakers. They sit a game and a half ahead of the 11 seed San Antonio Spurs, who are the first team on the outside of the picture looking in, as they sit alongside as the Spurs are actually tied in that regard with the New Orleans Pelicans. Last but not least, looking at what went down in Sacramento, the Sacramento Kings hosted the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets beat the Kings 128-110. They won this matchup by 18 after they outscored the Kings by 10 points in the first quarter and then by 13 in the fourth. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Sacramento Kings were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis, out of Gonzaga. He finished with 33 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 15 for 23 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he made his only free throw on the day. Their starting point guard out of Kentucky, De'Aaron Fox, finished with 20 points and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, and he made one of his 2 free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Will Barton. He finished with 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 11 for 17 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their elite starting center and last year's MVP, Nikola Jokic, finished with 25 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the foul line. And with this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 34-25. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They've now won their last 4 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. Their 4-game winning streak is the second longest active winning streak in the Western Conference right now. They sit a game behind the 5th seed Dallas Mavericks. They sit 2.5 games ahead of the 7th seed Minnesota Timberwolves, and they are sitting 15 full games behind the 1st seed Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings are 22-39. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 3 games. That is the 2nd longest active losing streak in the Western Conference. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 3.5 games behind the 10 seed Portland Trail Blazers outside of the Western Conference playoff picture. That's what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's games. Now taking a look at what's going on today in the second day of action back, and because it's going to be on Friday, the primetime games are going to be on ESPN. At 7:30, the New York Knicks are going to host the Miami Heat. The Knicks come into this matchup holding the 4th worst record in the East and a 3-game losing streak. The Heat ride into this matchup with the 2nd best record in the East and a chance to tie the Bulls for the best record in the East with a win today. This game's going to be in Madison Square Garden. Like I said, it's going to be on ESPN. The matchup after that is going to feature the LA Lakers and the LA Clippers in the Crypto.com arena. The Lakers enter this matchup with the 9th best record in the West, as they've won 3 of their last 10 games. The Clippers enter this matchup with the 8th best record in the West, as they've won 5 of their last 10 games. Both teams have lost 31 games, but the Clippers just have 3 more wins at this point, which is why they have a better record. Taking a look at the games that aren't going to be on prime time, at 7 o'clock, the Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Toronto Raptors in the Spectrum Center. At the same time, at 7, the Indiana Pacers are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder. With this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder can be the 2nd team in the Western Conference to clinch a losing record. The Orlando Magic are going to host the Houston Rockets, as 2 of the teams that already have clinched losing records are going to face off. At the same time, at 7 o'clock, the Washington Wizards are going to host the San Antonio Spurs in the nation's capital. At 8 o'clock, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to host the Philadelphia 76ers. At 9 o'clock, the Phoenix Suns, who hold the best record in the West, are going to host the New Orleans Pelicans. With a win here, the Suns can be the first team in the NBA to win 50 games. At 9 o'clock at the same time, the Utah Jazz are going to host the Dallas Mavericks, as they are currently holding on to the 4th and 5th best records in the West at the moment. So that's what the NBA is looking like. Last but not least, taking a look at what soccer is looking like, as we are taking a look at what is going on in the Europa League for the time being. In the second leg of the playoff round, a lot of teams were able to advance through. 8 teams are going to advance to face off against the teams that actually won their groups. First off, Sevilla lost to Dynamo Zagreb, but were able to win the aggregate 3-2. So they are going to be the team to advance to the next round of Europa League. That's how their matchup is going to look. Lazio ended up drawing with FC Porto 2-2, as Lazio's first goal came from their elite Italian striker Ciro Immobile. But FC Porto would advance after they beat Lazio 4-3 on aggregates. Atalanta would end up beating Olympiacos 3-0 as they won that aggregate 5-1. They would see a 4-minute brace from Ruslan Malinovsky as they were able to advance to the next round. At the same time, RB Leipzig beat Real Sociedad 3-1 to advance to the next round as they won this aggregate 3-5, coming into this matchup tied 2-2 on aggregates. Braga was able to beat Sheriff Tiraspol 2-0 as it would tie the aggregate at 2-2, and they would end up advancing 3-2 on penalties to the next round. In the second leg matchup between Barcelona and Napoli, Barcelona would win the matchup 4-2 to advance to the next round. The first goal of this matchup would come from Jordi Alba. The second goal would come from their Dutch midfielder Frenkie de Jong. Napoli would score their first goal off of a penalty kick from their Italian midfielder Lorenzo Insigne. Barcelona would end the first half with a goal from their Spanish defender Gerard Piqué. They would start the second half with a goal in the 59th minute from their striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Gabon. Last goal will be scored by Napoli in the 87th minute. But with this 5-3 advance on aggregates, Barcelona has advanced to the round of 16 in the Europa League. Taking a look at what happened in Scotland, Rangers was able to beat they drew with Borussia Dortmund 2-2, and because of this, they were able to advance 6-4 on aggregates. Rangers' 2 goals would come from James Tavernier. As for Borussia Dortmund, their first goal will come from their elite English midfielder Jude Bellingham. And then last but not least, the lone Russian team in the tournament would face off against Real Betis. The matchup would end up as a draw, as Betis would advance 3-2 on aggregate. So now the Europa League is down to 16 teams. Looking outside of Europa League in the Premier League, Arsenal was able to beat Wolverhampton 2-1. Their 2 goals would come in the late minutes as Wolverhampton led for a good chunk of the game. Arsenal's first goal came from Nicolas Pepe from the Ivory Coast in the 82nd minute. Then Jose Sa's own goal for Wolverhampton would give Arsenal the extra goal, and of course the 3 points that Arsenal needed. With this win, Arsenal holds the 5th best record in the Premier League as they sit 1 point behind 4th place Man U, as Arsenal has played 2 less games than Man U. They actually have a chance to leapfrog Man U in the upcoming days as they are still seeking a Champions League spot. With this loss, Wolverhampton sits 7th in the Premier League as they sit 2 points behind 6th place West Ham. Taking a look at what's going on today as we are transitioning into yet another weekend of soccer. The big matchups that are going to be taking place are going to be in Italy, as both Milan teams are going to be playing to compete for the top record in Italy. AC Milan is going to host Udinese at 12:45. AC Milan holds the best record in Italy as they sit 2 points ahead of Inter. Inter winning and Milan losing could see Inter eventually leapfrogging them potentially, but the team AC Milan is facing, Udinese, is currently holding on to the 5th worst record in Italy at the moment. And then Inter Milan is going to go to Genoa. Inter Milan holds the 2nd best record in Italy, tied with Napoli. They have 1 less game played than Napoli. They sit 2 points behind Inter. So if Inter wins and AC draws, then they'd be even, just to get a sense of how close they are. But a win for them and an AC Milan loss will see them take over, as Genoa is currently holding the 2nd worst record in Italy. But that is everything that I have as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NBA, and FIFA websites. And with that said, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Saturday, February 26th, for another episode of The Elite. And so until then, I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another episode tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and peace out.